Good morning and good afternoon. So, first of all, good afternoon, Jaume, and good morning to you, Manoj.
Good
How are
morning. Good.
Yes. Thank you, John, and good morning for me.
you? Excellent. Oh, good morning. Okay, it's good morning all around then. No problem at all. Amazing, amazing. Well, it's absolutely a pleasure to have you both join us in our Inspiring the Next Generation of Technology Leaders series. And it's going to be fascinating to learn more about your backgrounds, particularly around a topic and our discussion today, which is redefining the CIO, bridging business strategy, innovation, and risk in an AI era. So, without further ado, please could you both introduce yourself, starting with yourself, Jamie?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the invitation, John. It's a pleasure to be here. And if this is actually helpful for other leaders, it could be great. And my 2 cents and the input to others. So yeah, thanks.
Amazing. And over to you, please, Manoj.
Hi, morning, afternoon, everyone. So I'm Manoj Khanna, basically a transformation consultant with 20 plus years in technology as well as business strategy. My focus has always been on helping organizations bring innovation and execution, especially in the areas of AI, cloud, and business resilience. And I'm passionate about shaping up the next generation of, CIOs or CTOs, to be not just tech leaders, but also business partners.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I haven't gotten deep, Manoj, as Manoj, but yeah, if I may recall my introduction. So yeah, so my background, been working in IT since more than 20 years. So and I have a wide overview from technical view to so being technical field support, help desk. So I have a wide, work in the past until more transformational and more strategic roles, like business intelligence, and business analyst, and then moving to IT manager, business transformation director, and nowadays CIO. So, I like technology, but I think I always think more than a strategic way. So I think it's something we realize, making the business realize, and the benefits align with technology.
Absolutely. You absolutely have a stellar career, if you don't mind me saying, Jamie, and yourself, Manoj. And I think, in Jamie's case, since 2004, I believe, you've worked at the likes of Hewlett Packard, you've worked at the likes of, whether it be Indira, you've worked at the likes of, if I can say, PRA Group, and obviously, you are the, whether it be head of IT at Cabot Financial Spain for the best part of 8 years. So you absolutely do have the season, the salt and pepper shakes, if we can say, to be able to help, inform the next generation of technology leaders. So
Yeah,
yeah,
not just
absolutely.
Spain, just also Iberia. So
Okay.
Iberia, for the listeners we don't know, it's Spain and Portugal. It's both countries together.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Okay. So the first question is, how has the role of the CIO changed in the last 5 years, and what will define a successful CIO in the next 5 years? And that's for you, Jemmy, to begin with.
Okay, so I think since I started, if I recall well, when 20 years ago, it was more the IT director. At the end, the IT, it was the one which was in the room trying to only remembering when something was going wrong. And from that role, I think has been evolving. And nowadays, it's more a role which is impacting the whole company and a key enable and transformation for change. So I think has been evolving, and I think it will evolve much more in the next 5 years. I think I'm betting. I think. artificial intelligence will be really a key driver, but also cybersecurity and new trends as quantum computing, I think, will evolve a lot in the next 5 years.
Amazing. Excellent. And over to you, please, Manoj.
Well, I think a lot has shifted basically in the recent years on the role for the CIO. I mean, at least about 5 years ago, we were looking at, CIOs being largely focused on keeping the lights on, right? Making sure that the systems were stable, they were secure, and cost efficient, right? And now the today role has shifted basically to be more of a growth driver, which is shaping, your customer's experience, basically enabling the digital business models, and also making the enterprise more resilient in terms of, whatever disruptions are coming, right? And over the next 5 years, what we're looking at is basically it's not just the uptime or the cost saving, but also the ability to act as a growth partner to the business, right? Basically, which is going to be measured in terms of revenue influence, innovation cycles, how quickly and what sort of agility you can bring in those, and also the ability to translate how the technology gets into or translates to a business outcome, you know, process.
Sure. And would you both say that you've seen sort of a gradual shift towards the directions that you just mentioned, or do you think there has been a pivot based on the new cutting-edge technology that's available in the market?
You
And
go
that's
first, Manoj.
Manoj, please. Yes.
Well, I think you're talking about the from a strategic point of view. Yes, basically the IT function has evolved, and it is actually more and more setting up the business, direction. I mean, most of the companies today are not just business focused, but they are mostly tech focused. You can take any company in insurance, banking, or in financial institutions. Majority of their business, even though they have financial, professionals working in the company at the root foundation of it, but the tech is actually driving that direction, right? So
Mhm.
it's not just about running the tech projects, but also influencing where the company is going to be, what sort of services, what kind of support, what kind of model they can build for their customers, right? So basically, example could be like digitizing the claims processing. Yes, it will reduce the cost, but also it will improve the customer retention and open new doors for new service models, right? And so in the essence, basically what we're saying is that we're not just solving IT problems, but we are enabling growth from a business point of view, expanding the market, as well as making differentiation between the competitiveness.
Brilliant. And over to you, please, Jaume.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm quite aligned with Manoj. So give you a bit more context. So I think it's shifting gradually. I think it's still a long run. I think the average is like just 30% of the CIOs are belonging to the board member. So it's still way to do on there. But at the end of the day, companies I think are realizing they need to, for increasing revenues, reducing cost, or implementing new technologies, they need to have technology on board. So, and I think the key part is here, is we are not just tech people. I think we are understanding more about being strategic executives. So this is, I think, is still an ongoing
Mhm.
journey. It's not yet, but this is what I think it will be our journey for now. Being a peer to the CFO or others members of the board.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brilliant. So, how do you ensure technology investments are aligned with business goals that deliver measurable value?
Okay, I can take it first if you want.
Yeah.
So I think the most important is to, have alignment about, okay, are actually the business goals, which is the strategic plan the company wants to achieve. Okay. I don't know. Imagine we want to grow by 200%. We want to be in multiple countries. We want to reduce our OpEx cost. Your OpEx cost is the cost of running the operational expenses cost.
Mhm.
And for that, you need to use technology, but also the key thing is you need to measure. I think where the technology projects doesn't go that well is to actually measure. Because you run a project, you implement it, and then what? That I think that's how running with KPIs, OKRs. You have different ways of measuring, but definitely you need to measure and actually uh, make it to the board. Make this alignment and these results to the board to highlight the value of the project. Not just converting. It's not an IT project. It's a business project.
Brilliant. And over to you, Manoj, if you can add.
I agree with Yami basically, and I think what happens typically is that when we are looking at tech projects, basically they sound very exciting, but at the same time, sometimes they don't have any clear, uh, they don't really have a clear business outcome objective, right? Most of the times because they're trying to solve a tech problem, right? But if we make a rule that every initiative which is funded, which is a priority from the board or from the management, whether it's growth, efficiency, or customer experience or risk reduction, it should map directly to the priorities of the business outcome, right? And if for example, the business is actually pushing for market expansion, then what we're looking at is like how the tech investment is basically enabling onboarding of customers faster, and also how and what sort of digital channels can be utilized that supports that growth, right? But also the other part to look at is how we are actually translating the spending of the IT to the profit and loss, language, right? If we cannot point that any initiative is impacting revenue or the cost structure or the risk exposure, then it should be looked at again how it should be funded, right? So if you have a discipline, in that area in terms of how IT is just not just about cost, but it's also about an integral part of driving measurable business outcomes,
Yeah,
or business value.
yeah, yeah, which is a key theme.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Okay. What frameworks or KPIs help you demonstrate IT's impact to the board or executive leadership? And let's start with you, Manoj, please.
Well, can you repeat that question again, please? Sorry.
Yeah. What frameworks or KPIs help you demonstrate
hmm
IT's impact to the board or executive leadership?
Well, there are obviously what we have been talking about is the business value and the business outcome, right? And the measurable KPIs or how we measure it is in terms of whether it's new market expansion or in terms of, increased customer output, uh, from a business point of view, either the sales or the retention of the customer or offering them new services, right? And how they are actually also improving the productivity in terms of, your current workforce that is actually involved directly in serving the customer, plus also what sort of lags that we are actually looking at being reduced in terms of adoption of technology and how it is making your own teams efficient in serving the customer, right? So those are some of the areas to look at, and how that translates into each business, or how the businesses actually gets, you know, the alignment between the tech as well as the business. That is more important.
Brilliant. Okay. And over to you, please, Jamie.
So I go much direct. So anything which is impacting your P&L, I think is relevant. Increasing your revenue, reducing your cost, and I'm going to introduce one more thing, which is risks. So at the end of the day, there is no business without risk exposure. So one of the things we need to think, the board needs to be, have this education is investing in technology, in probably in IT control, cybersecurity will reduce your risk exposure. So this is I think the most important. Make them understand if imagine your business is having a revenues of 50 million euros or dollars or pounds. Okay, if you are investing on this technology by 5 million, it will reduce to half the risk exposure we have. I think this is one of the most relevant things, and is the language the executives are understanding. Told me about numbers, told me about investment, meaning risk exposure. So yeah, I wanted to introduce that topic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're not the first to have said that. It is just about the numbers. When you get to the bottom line, it's about the numbers and how that sort of looks to the executive board. So absolutely agreed. All right. So AI is shaping or reshaping, should I say, how we operate, but how do we manage risk? What governance models or controls have you put in place to guide responsible AI adoption? And let's start with you, please, Yami.
Yeah. Okay. So AI right now it's in everybody's words or everybody's mouth, or everybody's talking about this. AI all the way. So how do you manage risks? I think one of the most important thing is establish a framework. So having a clear policy about the usage of AI, I think that's a key thing, and a recommendation I giving here for all the tech leaders, have a clear recommendation. If not, policies and usage, because if not, people will do their own thing on their own and take their own decisions by ChatGPT or whatever. So place a clear policy, and then you probably would like to put some controls. Okay, so you can place controls where you don't think the policy is safe. If you imagine, I'm betting all the US companies are forbidden Chinese artificial intelligence, I guess. So this kind of controls probably you want to put in place, or at least really monitor closely. um, what else? So training. So at the end of the day, EI, it's also about training people. I think that's important because this, EI right now and everything is changing, but it's not magic. Okay, so at the end of the day, people is really important. And my final recommendation, if you can afford it, if you can create a center of excellence and have an overview about everything. If for instance, I work for a multinational company, and we do that. To have a try to get the better of the ideas for everybody. Um, and I think that's more or less all I want to say. Yes, I think that's yeah.
Okay. Over to you, Manoj.
Okay, one more thing. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
small POC. So proof of concepts. I think try small and then get better. Don't get into large projects, large deployments. Don't do that, because at the end of the day, this technology is evolving so fast. that imagine you are running so big a project and then the technology has actually evolved. So I will say recommend highly to do small projects on this and then scaling up.
Amazing. Brilliant. And Manoj, have you got anything else to add?
Well, I think I'll just add to what Jaume said in terms of, since AI is a pretty powerful tool, right? And if we don't have the right guardrails, basically, which can expose the organization to a serious risk, like ethical risks or financial risk or reputational risk, right? So if we put basically a sort of a governing body which actually brings the IT as well as the business and legal and other departments from risk and compliance perspective, basically. So making sure that any initiative which is running under AI or as part of the AI are, looked at very holistically, right? Not just from a technology angle. You need to look at all the sides. And when you actually have some checkpoints, basically on ethical use of AI, no bias in training the data, uh, uh, working on the data security part, making sure that the regulatory and compliance issues are addressed, basically, and you actually have a proper explainability basically for the AI before you scale it up. So yes, doing a POC, as Yama said, is a great concept to get started. Start small, then you scale it up, right? And also the idea for this, or for any AI, related initiative that you're going to be executing, is to make sure that you innovate quickly, but at the same time, um, you do it responsibly, right? Because you need to build trust and transparency and fairness, basically for across all the businesses.
Brilliant. Absolutely. All right. So my next question is, in a world where data is the new oil and AI is the engine, how do CIOs balance innovation with cybersecurity and compliance? And that's for you, please, Jaume.
Uh, so say again the question, sorry.
That's okay. In a world where data is the new oil and AI is the engine, how do you, sorry, I'll start that again. My fault. Okay. In a world where data is the new oil and AI is the engine, how do CIOs balance innovation with cybersecurity and compliance?
Okay, got you. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, definitely my position here is, security by design, basically. So start from zero whenever you need to do these POCs. So start with security first. And then be really aligned with the regulations is impacting where are you located and where even your data is located is one of the tricky things,
definitely.
probably you will like an EI, you have the some discussions about okay, you're going for a hyperscaler like Azure, AWS, whatever, and where are you placing that? Or you are doing your own thing, like doing your in-house LLM. So I think these things are really interesting, and it will be depending about what you want to achieve in innovation, in cybersecurity, in privacy. I think it's important privacy here also. And well, everything aligned with compliance because in my case, we are in Europe, so we have a strong regulation regarding EI and GDPR, etc. So yeah, that's my view on this. Yeah.
Brilliant. And over to you, Manoj.
Well, it's a very interesting analogy or sort of a framing, right? What he did, but because see, there are two things. One is data is very valuable, obviously in any given situation, but at the same time, just like oil is useless if it is not refined, if you don't refine your data, obviously, which complies with governance, which complies with quality or with the context which we are using it against, then the AI or AI is as is not as useful as it could be or it should be, right? So if the AI is the engine and if you have a bad fuel, then means that the engine will misfire, right? So as a CIO, basically, we take the responsibility to make sure that both sides are correct, right? Making sure that the pipelines for the data are actually clean, they're compliant, and they're accessible, right? And also the AI engine that you're trying to build within the organization is basically more transparent, has fairness and no bias, and also it has an explainability in terms of, compliance and auditability, right? It's basically building the trust between the data and the AI. It's not just about the speed. Speed will not matter if your data cannot be trusted or if your AI cannot be trusted, right? And if they both of them are actually working together or in this context, right? Then it actually makes difference. But from a cloud point of view, what Yama was saying, basically, which has now become sort of a refinery where all your data is getting processed, right? And it's getting used and it's made to use, we use that data, right? So in that case, if you are actually refining data into your business value, you want to make sure that, that power for that engine is coming, with some risk, right? And therefore, it's very important to see how cybersecurity, basically systems that you put in place, are keeping the engine of your AI from overheating or being hijacked, right? So security is very important from privacy and other concerns point of view, right? So you need to make sure that your cloud is enabled for scalability, your AI is enabled for intelligence, as well as the cybersecurity basically is influencing the trust basically, right? And without that trust, your engine obviously will stall. And so as CIOs, we are there to orchestrate that all of these actually are rightful implementation for the business, as well as they innovate at speed, basically, which is making the entire organization secure and compliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I haven't touched really quickly for me. So yeah, really simple. So if you have your dirty oil, so your data oil dirty, you will have not a proper engine, let's say.
Yeah.
So it's a, you need to, you have homework to do basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jaume. Brilliant. Okay. What role should CIOs play in shaping security culture across the organization? And that's for you, Jaume, please.
Okay, so yeah, I think the CIO should be a sponsor of security culture across the all the organization. So understanding, there it's a risk, something to evaluate it, but at the end of the day, is not black or white. There are grays in the middle, So security needs to be understand really well for all the executives. And I give the example: it's not the same a server or a service you have exposed in the internet, which can be security having really more put more in risk about security, about suffering some attacks. It's not the same that you have in your on-premise and more secure, or under not exposure to the internet. So I think that's important. But basically, I will say the CIO should be a sponsor on security.
Brilliant. Excellent. And over to you, Manoj.
Yeah, I mean, your question is basically what role the CIO should play in shaping the security culture,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, the CIOs cannot be just firewall for the company, right? But also they need to shape the security and the culture both, right? So, in terms of like not to become just a checklist, training and awareness is very important, right? And for the leadership teams within the IT, as well as other parts of the business, the accountability is important, right? And how we can elevate the security and the level of enterprise risk is not just becomes like a technical problem. It's more than that, basically, right? So if you actually look at security is sort of everyone's job within the organization. right from the person who has actually just joined the company or from to the top level management, right? And if you want to reduce the risk dramatically in your organization, then security is everyone's job, and making sure that a culture is created that how we address this shared responsibility, not just in one part of IT or security teams, basically, right? So
Brilliant.
it has to be overall encompassing the entire organization, basically, not just one or two departments.
Excellent. Okay. So why is understanding your P&L critical for the modern CIO, and how do you manage tensions between cost control and innovation? And I think, Jaume, you mentioned this earlier with regards to, the role and impact of whether it be frameworks and KPIs to demonstrate to the board of directors and executives, impacts that have been made through whether it be activities. So what's your, and let's start with you, Jaume, please.
Mm. Okay. So I think the most important is if you think a bit of the framework about the CIO needs to understand the business, and the business means at the end how the business is making money and where it's spending the money. So for because it's a key thing for them for using the technology and trying to improve that situation. So one of the tricky part I see CIOs are getting, being tricky on this sense, and the tension on this is, being seen as a cost center and not as a production of revenues or reducing costs. I think that's the tricky part. I think we need to sell more our story, sell more our winnings, and be transparent with the business. I think this is the way to do it. And definitely to be see it more, when you are investing dollar, euro, whatever, you are investing in something. You are investing, you are progressing. And the companies which won't be investing in technologies at the end of the day won't be competitive. So I think that this is the message I would like to land. And between making innovation with sense, with objectives and KPIs, but try to land this message about we are investing in technology because is the way the companies can progress more efficiently and quicker and scalable.
Absolutely. Brilliant. And Manoj,
Well, I think very shortly, I mean, I'll just summarize it because when you spend your technology dollars or euros or whatever, basically it becomes a sort of a business money actually, right? If a CIO cannot understand the profit and loss, and cannot speak the P&L language, then they also struggle on the credibility for within the board as well as across the tech management part of across the management part of it. But how we actually tie the investments into revenue as well as improvement of your margins for the company, or how we reduce the risk, control the costs, basically, right? Um, how you can justify then like the cost center, which basically should not be seen as a cost center, but should be seen as some sort of a value generator or a value creation, sort of a place, right? If a CIO is speaking the CFO language, there's better understandability as well as trust being built, and there's more in cohesion with what sort of a runway you can get in order to get more investment towards your innovation, as well as the leadership of the company then also understands that there is a cost discipline, but also there's a growth factor involved.
brilliant. Excellent. All right. So what strategies have helped you drive efficiency without compromising delivery? And let's start with you, Manoj, please.
But basically, in any organization, what is key and critical and important is to eliminating the waste, right? How you can eliminate waste. basically, right? And how you can automate some of the mundane and repetitive things within the organization in terms of, whatever task needs to be performed, how they can be automated, how you can also simplify the current structure or the infrastructure you have, and move the platforms basically which are already running in the organization, to a level of scalability, right? Um, so what I'm talking is not just about cutting the costs, but also looking at how we can free up time of people basically to think, outside the box for innovation, basically, right? So if all of our teams are focused on doing mundane things and mundane tasks, basically, which can be automated, then they are not focused on what is coming next, right? If everybody is in the weeds doing stuff, then what is coming down the pipe is not really visible, right? So in terms of when you actually want to see the progress and the growth, what I have seen work for me in the past is basically how we actually align with the business, and build a sort of either the tech plus business dashboards, which in sort of showcase how we actually reduce the cost for certain processing things or certain tasks that we are doing, and how we actually improve also the customer, experience or product experience or those kind of things, right? So when we look at both the sides from the tech and the business point of view, we see that how the efficiency and delivery is reinforcing instead of like, we are trying to, beat down on each other. And and how we are making certain processes more leaner, right? And also bringing some agility into it without, stepping on something which is sort of becoming sort of a critical issue.
Excellent. Okay. And over to you, please, Jaume, if you can add.
Yeah, sure. So in add-on to Manoj, so whenever we try to solve business problems, what we do at the end is, work together from scratch, trying to have diverse, multi-skills teams. I think the key word here is co-creation. So work with them from scratch, having their input on these new projects, new enhancements, and transparency. I think that's also really a good word to be said lowly. At the end, you need to give the ability to the business to choose what they want to do. Try to influence. We need to invest sometimes from the tech side for some things like technical debt, which are really words which probably doesn't understand business, but at the end, it's like you need to invest on that. But you have a lot of things where business can choose widely, because at the end of the day, they will have an inclination about one of the topics to go there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. I know we've touched on this subject earlier in our conversation. However, if we could just elaborate a bit more in a sense, many organizations still struggle with disconnected teams in terms of whether it be with IT and business within an organization. What has worked for you in breaking down these barriers? And that's over to you, please, Manoj, to start with.
Well, this you're talking about the disconnect between the IT and the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this basically comes from the fact that typically a, what we see is that IT is sort of serving the business, right? In terms of taking the direction from the business itself, right? Instead of being their partner, right? So if there's a concept of something called shared, ownership, right? And what I've seen in the past working is basically how we can effectively utilize IT people into the business, right? So I'll give you an example. Like a few, actually not few, many years ago now, it was in actually Europe, and a big logistics company you can think of. There are very few, but in there, basically, one gentleman who actually was the EVP in that company came from the the ranks of joining the company 30 years ago, at a very internship level, right? So what he said was that back in the day, it was difficult for the business people to understand tech because the tech was new and tech was evolving, right? And now there's a lot of tech, but nobody understands the business. So we need to make a balance somehow in between that if you actually have a lot of tech now and a lot of less business, then everybody is coming from a tech understanding and trying to implement business, which doesn't work, right? So if there's a model where you can embed your tech people into the business and some business people into the tech, and we have done that basically as part of the product development teams, right? Where business leaders are sitting inside the IT teams or our steering committee or the center of excellence teams. But when you create these cross-functional teams, and then the priorities of such intense capacity is changed, and they speak the same language, then obviously the growth is expected, and it becomes from a fact that it is everyone's outcome is not just us versus them or that sort of thing. So in order to kill the silos faster, basically, uh, you know any reorganization they do basically will not help if that cross collaboration, cross culture team or the cross teams are not enabled and empowered properly.
Brilliant. Okay. And over to you, Jaume.
Yeah, I think Manoj covered a lot of the points I wanted to, give actually, breaking the silos. I think that's super important, from my experience, IT people are thinking, in their IT things, developing new skill, new technologies, and it's really, a possibility and even more in nowadays times with all the remote work. So it could be even, making that silos even greater. And in the same time, business doesn't understand a lot of times or what the IT people is doing. So at the end, we are struggling with this disconnection. The way talking the same language, trying to sit in the same table, having these forums to, openly and transparency talk about the problems and about how to be solving this and breaking, you don't want to have, I think it's called the white elephant in the room, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the problems, resolving this. And at the end of the day, I have a strong statement about, if your business is going well, you at the end you have the option of you could be good or bad, but if it's not going well, probably you won't be going well. It's a really simple things, but a lot of people doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
So is one of the things I try to always give on my all hands meeting I have with my team is talk about numbers. My first statement is how is going the things, guys. So this is the numbers. So this is the thing I think is really enrichful for give to the team. At the end, we are working for our organization, which we are getting paid our salaries because it's making money. you know. So I think talking about the single language and this is how I do it, and it's working for me.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. It's always about the numbers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Brilliant. Okay. So, do you agree with the idea that the best future CIOs will be indistinguishable from business leaders? And that's for you, Jame.
So absolutely, I'm really on to that, and this is one of the most interesting things. Yeah, if you think about future, what I see is probably new technologies as artificial intelligence will become the new language. So at the end of the day, for instance, if I give the example of, I like this I'm getting from my colleague. I heard lately on a conference. English is the business language, so I think probably AI will be the new language. Okay, so at the end of the day, what I see is. Um, technology will become kind of a commodity if you want to reach these levels. So at the end of the day, business leaders need to have a strong knowledge of this, and I think probably will be more CIOs, democratic CIOs. Probably there is a trend. It's also talking about that. And I don't know if the new CIOs will be the new CEO. I don't know.
Yeah,
So, and this is also a potential, but definitely I think it will be something to have a look, and probably more and more leaders will be, you won't know if it's a tech people or a business people.
amazing. And over to you, Manoj, please.
I mean, I agree with whatever points Yami put across and all the points he put across. So yes, the CIO role is evolving now more than ever. Basically, it's not just a tech problem; it's a business problem they're also trying to fix. And I agree that if a as a CIO, basically, you should be able to talk the P&L language, the strategy language, the customer language, right? And if they are not, then obviously they will be, you know, they're left behind. But I think the one point about which I want to pick up from Yame, but which he says that maybe, maybe not. But I think I agree with the idea that the next generation of CEOs are not just finance or operations based, but they are actually coming from technology leadership, right? Because the next generation of the businesses is in the area of digital as well as at every core part of the business, basically. And from that point of view, you know, the future of the CIO is essentially basically a business leader which actually has a deep, rooted DNA in technology, right? And that's where the CIOs are headed towards next is basically to be the next CEOs.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, my next question is, with the rise of AI, quantum, and decentralized technology, what skills should the next generation of CIOs and tech leaders prioritize over? And that's over to you, Jame, please. Ah, Jame, you're muted. That's okay.
And now I'm getting mute. So, at the end of the day, skills, it's something you can always learn. Um, I think soft skills are really valuable for the new generation, because how you do things and how you communicate things and how you negotiate. I think that's super important. So soft skills, I think it's something you need to prioritize. Um, in the hardest skills or the most strongest skills, I will say, capacity to continuous, always learning. So have the, be hungry of always learning. I think that's really a priority, because we are talking about 3, 5 years, but we don't really know. Nobody knows. So IBM has been doing the roadmap of quantum technology, but we don't really know how this will be evolving. So I think this is really, really be key to be follow up, and you cannot place more than 3 years plan. It's really complex nowadays. And what I think will be really a skill all the leaders should get is about security. Without security, nobody will be. It's everything at the end. We see it nowadays with all the geopolitical thing, not just, security is a must, and in technology, cybersecurity is a must. So I think that will be really complex situations with, more and more companies will be affected by, getting their data still, outages, and this kind of thing. So I think investment on that, and having a strong skills. I think that's where I will say is the most my strongest advice.
Brilliant. Excellent. And over to you, Manoj, please.
Well, yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. It has to be a mix of both the hard skills and the soft skills. Obviously understanding of finance, understanding of business, whatever business you're in, basically that understanding of that business part itself, and understanding of AI and emerging tech, basically, right? But more importantly, on the soft skill sides, basically, understanding the how the leadership actually changes. It's not, constant, and how you can tell a story to your teams and to the organization, basically within the organization, right? And how you can inspire people, basically, so that they can work with you and innovate, and you can move them along the journey, basically, right? Where sometimes technology is not possible, but these kind of things are possible, with the inspiring people, building a story, and taking your team to the next level, right? So as part of the future of CIO, basically, one has to be fluent, obviously, in technology and finance, but also in human leadership, right? How you can bring humanity into the workforce. That is more important, and that combination is very important and makes one person like indispensable.
Brilliant. Excellent. Very good advice. Very good advice from both Gemma and yourself. Brilliant. Okay. Now, my final question is, if you could give one piece of advice to a rising IT leader today, what would it be? And that's over to you, Gemma, please.
So definitely understand your business. Talk often to the influential key stakeholders of
Mhm.
your company. Don't stop learning, and and try to be, don't think about roadmaps more than 3 years.
Right.
I think that's the more important, really straight and short advice. And well, one of the things also worked for me is try to get enriched with other people. Talk about with other business units, other countries, other cultures. Try to work in different areas. So I think that's important too. And get diverse. I think diverse is enrichful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very true. And Manoj, over to you, please.
Well, I think I will keep it short. We should not be chasing technology for technology's sake, right? Uh, the For any rising IT leader, basically, it's important that anyone can implement the tool or deploy the latest tech, basically. But the real impact anyone can make in their position, basically, is to understand how the business is solving the problem, or how it should solve the problem, how you can earn the trust from the business and your people, right? And how you can use and leverage then the technology to your advantage to deliver those outcomes which can be measured, right? So if you are focusing on the outcomes instead of output, then definitely that will be a biggest differentiator, because at the end of the day, uh, no one will remember what sort of tech or code you delivered, but how you transform the business. That is more important than anything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jamie and Manoj, it's been an absolute pleasure having you take part in our Inspiring the Next Generation of Technology Leaders series. I think, the topic that we discussed today, which is redefining the CIO, bridging business strategy, innovation, and risk in the AI era, absolutely hit the mark. And I'd like you both to have the final words, please. And if I could start with you, Manoj, if we could just have the final words.
Yeah, I think keep an eye on tech, but at the same time, keep an eye on also how you can bring innovation and understand the business or whatever business organization you're in, how you can help them solve the real business problems using the tech as your advantage.
Brilliant. And to you, please, Jamie.
Well, I feel, yeah, first, thanks again for the invitation. It has been a pleasure to be, chatting and having this time with you guys. So thanks for that. And yeah, I think it's, as you mentioned, I think it's everything about the numbers, but also, make the right calls to be transformational for the business. and and also the way to deliver is actually about driving through people. So that's, I think, most important. Connect to the strategy of your company through technology. I think that's all, and that's my last statement.
Amazing. Thank you both.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Have a nice day, afternoon, or night.